Is it go time?
Almost.
It's good to be back. I haven't been on here forever. What do we get to go over today? There's so much to be done. We'll be speaking German in 3 days, 4 days. What day is it? It's Monday. We leave on Thursday. Let's go, Schweinfurt. Where is Schweinfurt? Roland, do you even know where Schweinfurt? Does anybody
Never heard about
It's
Schweinfurt.
hello.
No,
It's
yeah,
near
yeah.
it's near Würzburg. I'm from Frankfurt and I drive about an hour and a half.
Clay, you should know where Würzburg is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Last week I was in Düsseldorf and
I was gonna say
Oh.
Dusseldorf because that quite possibly
Sorry, Roland. I cut Roland off on accident.
that's got to be my favorite city in all of Germany. And for those of you that don't know me very well, if Christine and I get our well, let me rephrase that because it's not us getting our way, but with what she's created and because of how governments are looking at what root is and what the products are doing, if I'm provided an opportunity to become an ambassador to another country, I will become the ambassador to Azerbaijan, just so you know. That is the only company or country that I will want to become an ambassador for. Just Azerbaijan. Why, you ask? Because Azerbaijan is the greatest name of any country ever created. Ever. So there's that. But let's get into Duquesne. What are we going over today? He's on mute. Or are you eating a cookie?
Yeah, you picked right when I took a bite. So I know Patrick was going to do a little bit of a recap of the patents and kind of the several discussions that have been going over that. And then Clayton, I know you and I were going to talk a little bit about some of the events that are coming up, just so ambassadors feel like they are in the loop and kind of know what's going on. So starting, we have the Schweinfurt event, which is happening the 21st and the 22nd, correct, Patrick, Clayton?
Yes.
Okay. So this is kind of the last stretch for ambassadors. And if you have friends or people you want to go with to get your tickets or to get tickets for them, just so you all are aware, there is a lot of information, talks, and just great topics going on during this event. If you were not aware, the peptides will be launching at this event. And so this is one of the first live product launches we've done. Obviously, if you're not in Germany, it will launch everywhere, but they're actually going to launch the products on the stage at the event. And so if anyone is in Germany or in the area, this should be amazing.
And you can take your products home with you. So we're going to have some there so that you can purchase them at the actual event and you can leave with them.
And they're commissionable.
And so if you're an ambassador and you ever wanted to get good content for a product launch that you could promote to your community, I don't think it's going to get any better than Clayton, Ted, and Dr. Ram on the stage launching a product and you being able to get videos of it and show that you were there at a product launch.
Or we're even probably going to have sit down time. And if you wanted to sit down and call me names and ask questions and make accusations and let me answer them, we're open to that too. Let's go.
There will also be, as Clayton's saying, several Q&A sessions and other talk sessions. And I know the EU and specifically the German community has had a lot of we're not over there. We're in the US. And this is a great opportunity to have 2 days with the 3 biggest leaders in the root corporate HQ and have time to talk with them. So off of that, Clayton, I know you had something you wanted to announce for the Schweinfurt event, and then I will go over the other couple of events that we have coming up as well.
I forgot how I was going to announce it. Oh, That was
You
it.
want me to start?
No, I just remembered how I was going to do it. So we have people coming from all over to Schweinfurt, which apparently no one knows how to get there yet, but this will be fun. So if you've looked at budget and maybe your budget is a little tight right now, as it is for most people, especially here in the United States, people are trying to figure out what to do with our economy. We want as many people to come as possible, or if you have friends that you'd like to come, but they're like $180 for a ticket, that seems like a lot. We'll cut it in half for you. So the next 50 to 100 people, if you don't have a ticket yet and you want to come, I'll pay for half of it. So that is $90 off. You can email Duquesne, which is Duquesne@therootbrands.com. Now, if you're American and you're going to go over there, I'm not buying your plane ticket. That's not what this is for. This is the
Can
ticket.
well, Clay, sorry, I'm going to interrupt and be the rude person again.
Go for it.
This is for people that can't afford this. And so I know there are a lot of ambassadors that can't afford these tickets. We also know there's a lot of new people to the Root community who are newer and don't necessarily have the money to invest in this. And so this is Dr. Rahm and Clayton's way to help people in need. Okay. And so I just want to make sure as ambassadors and as leaders, we don't take advantage of this. And so if you know you have people in your community that need help coming to this event and can't afford it, that is who this is for. We are going to cap it at 50. Clay, I'm sorry.
Okay,
So
fine.
the first 50 people that, if they know somebody who, and I'll put my email in the chat. Don't misuse this email, please.
Birgit,
I already get like
send
100 in
me
email.
lots of emails.
Birgit and I WhatsApp. She doesn't need to email me. We WhatsApp.
Hey, so on that note, Duquesne, while you're talking, so yes, for the first 50 people, you're going to get 50% off. And I know that Duquesne was talking a lot about this is for those that are trying to find the means to get there. And I saw some people put, what if you're only able to come for one day? I think one day is better than no days. But this is an investment into not only yourself, but developing your leadership qualities and your toolbox to help you run your business. Maybe you're new to the community and you're looking at different ideas in which how you can communicate with your community, with your following, with whatever it is that you do and how you integrate Root into your life. Or maybe you just want to meet Dr. Rahm or hear Clay talk or say hello to Ted. This is an investment into yourself. And I equate this very similar to like many, many years ago when I took a loan out to go to a Tony Robbins event. That was an investment into my personal development. This is very, very similar. There is going to be talks not only about the product, but about business, about marketing, about how to grow your network, how to talk about the Root products, what words to use. There's going to be legal there, how you can intertwine this, social media. There's going to be food available. This is a way in which you can put yourself in a room with other like-minded individuals that are doing the exact same thing, but different ways and means to do that to grow your business. And so this is an investment into yourself. And Clay and Dr. Rahm, out of the kindness of their hearts, are offering a discount for this. I highly, highly, highly recommend, if you are on the fence, shoot Duquesne an email right now and do that, because you do not want to miss this event.
It'll be entertaining and educational. If you're in attendance, I'm going to show you how to make real money. Right? And it's not from my heart, it's from my pocket. Because that's where the money is. But the heart part, you'll see when we get there. And honestly, we've had so many different questions. I've got some interviews this week to handle all of the a lot of the questions that are coming from people making claims that are going to be fun to answer. But I think it'll be an opportunity for everybody to have some levity, to learn a ton. And here's the important part to understand in this, because Christina has pneumonia right now, just so everyone knows. She's in recovery. So she's literally working herself into the ground.
All right, Clay, let's not go too much into how she's sick because I know
Right.
she won't want people to know
Yeah,
that.
I know. But here's the key part to
It's
this. We are going to invest heavily in everybody that's invested to attend. So if you're taking the time and the money in order to attend, we're going to make sure that you're going to get way more value than you're expecting, and it should be a lot of fun. And the peptides are going to be there. There's a bunch of stuff that Christine is going to go over. So it's going. I will say that for the first time, I'm going to go over more marketing stuff than I've ever gone over, because if you guys weren't aware now, the science, the outcomes, the argument as far as efficacy compared to any products, that's over now. There's nothing comparable in the market anywhere in the world that can compete with what we have. Now it comes down to understanding how to play with those tools and how you monetize it.
To
And
segue off of that, Clay, really quick, I dropped in the chat box a Dropbox folder of content on the peptides. We're getting some translations done for the Germany community. But to what Clayton was just talking about, you can take some of this content to start to energize your community and your following to get excited about the peptide. And if you're attending the Schweinfurt event, you are going to be able to have in your hands first, before anyone else in the world, the peptides, to where you can create some content, whether it's Clayton or Dr. Ram or Ted talking about the products. You can create some reels or some TikTok videos. Hell, I guarantee that if you pulled Clay aside and said, hey, can you shoot me a quick little 30-second video about why I should get my community to buy the peptides, and you use the content that I just shared with you as like a thumbnail for your picture of a post that you're going to do, this is a way in which you can utilize everything that we're trying to provide for you to market yourself and to market the new product that is launching. So this is the first of its kind. So we're doing this. I know we did it very similarly for Sculpt, but we're trying to arm you guys with a lot of information to use to get people excited about this launch.
also, I just want to interrupt. Clayton, stop minimizing yourself. This is from Clayton's heart. And as much as he doesn't want you all to think this, him and Dr. Ram both have the ideas to help out the community. So Clayton, stop not giving yourself credit, because I was sitting there when you came up with the idea as well. On to the second event, we have Kosovo for people who are in the area, which, Ted, do you know the date for that? Ted's in the background of our office.
29th, 30th, and 1st.
9th and 30th.
The 29th and the 30th.
29th is the event at Swiss Diamond Hotel. The invite will be on the silver.
Okay. The invite is being made by our graphic design team right now, and Ted said he will have it in the group, the silver group, in about half an hour. So if you're in Kosovo, keep an eye out for that, or if you're in surrounding areas. And then the last event is the Dallas event for those who are in the US. That is happening October 8th. And I believe they have a location for it. So if you are interested in that, please reach out to us, and we will have more information put on the socials probably starting next week. We are focusing on Schweinfurt, and then we'll kind of move to the Kosovo and the Dallas. So we're trying to not push out too much information at once, but we do have a location for the Dallas event. Reach out if you want to know more, because now everyone has my email. I can give you the location of it, and we're very excited. So those are 3 events where ambassadors, those are great times to know more about the company, to see the inner workings and meet the HQ and really learn how HQ thinks, what's going behind their decisions, to kind of understand how we market stuff, and to just build connections and form a community with other Root ambassadors and other Root customers. And so we really encourage you all to come to these events. We are already planning some 2025 events. And so I think you actually might find out about those a little bit at the Schweinfurt event for some, and at these other events. And we will be telling the whole community at some point in October. but we are really doing more work to have get-togethers with the root community, and we just want ambassadors to make sure you understand why we're doing this, because we want to see you all. We want you all to attend. We want you all to bring new customers and new ambassadors so they can kind of be part of the root, community and meet the team and be part of everything. So that was I was trying to do the 10-minute spiel on the root events, but I did 15. So my bad, Patrick. But that's what I have for root events. I just want you all to understand we're excited for it. And we want you all to be excited too, especially if you're in the area, because we know they're going to be great. And we're excited to see the new relationships, the new connections, and the new people and old people that we get to meet again and see again. So if you're on the fence, really think about making that trip to one of those 3 areas. And yeah, we're excited for it. So I'm passing it off to Patrick and Clay because that's all I had.
Is it marketing conversation time now?
Your turn.
So since this is our ambassador training over the last couple of weeks, you guys have had a tremendous amount of information on science. You know, the interesting part with science typically doesn't sell, but it gives you tools that if you use it properly. So Patrick and I are going to go back and forth on some stuff on the science aspects. Because I want to give you guys some insight into what I would do as if I was in your shoes, because I'm actually stepping into your shoes I've been reaching out to a bunch of my colleagues. I'm testing a theory to see if I can still do what I used to do, and it's working. But one of the hard parts to understand with what we're doing is the product mix, right? The one thing that's most important to understand with what we're doing is the product mix. So one, I'll give you guys this insight. I've become Rootarian, and I'm putting together a pack for a Rootarian pack. I'm working on playing this. So in a world where everything is polluted, if you're in the United States, not as much globally, but it still holds true. Because of the environmental impact of what's gone on globally. What Christine has done is created a series of products that give you means of addressing every aspect of your life. And if you choose to do so, it will save you money across the board. But you'll end up eating to supplement what you've already done. What people have talked about and still talk about is that you have to take supplements to add into what you eat, right? You want to flip that, because now what we have is a complete profile to address every major component of human performance and human function that will allow your body to completely reboot, to give your body all of the tools that you can't get in your diet, right? Dylan can speak to this on Crush, right? Crush is so crucial in this component because there's no amount of eggs and meat and other protein sources that you can eat and combine that's going to get you everything you're going to get in Crush in combination with like Relive Greens. And then you add in Sculpt and it becomes fun. But depending upon what you're doing, you're going to be able to eat to fill gaps in with what you're already putting in your body. Hopefully that makes sense. But when you look, if you look at each product from a marketing standpoint, let's go over Relive Greens, because there are greens companies in the United States that are making hundreds of millions of dollars by promoting greens. They are all toxic. And I'm going to give you guys some insight that is coming out of the most advanced levels of science globally right now from the Human Genome Project that is not published yet. It's not going to be published for a while. But here's the truth. if you've seen in the United States and globally, the massive increase in colon cancer, which is shooting through the roof, it's all dietary. It's omega-6s causing massive amounts of inflammation. But the problem is, and Dr. Fadwa did an amazing little conversation on her social media of a video on this, and I'm going to give you guys the insight. Plants, right? So you have many people that want to be vegan or want to be vegetarian because they don't want to consume animal products because of terrorizing animals and how they're raised and how they're farmed, which I completely agree with. But here's the problem. Globally, our plants are so toxic and so polluted that they increase their lectin content to protect themselves. That increase in lectin that plants are having to do poisons us. The animals that are being grass-fed and that are healthy and your free-range chickens are consuming things that are toxic, even if you're not giving them toxic food, because the environment has become so polluted that that's polluting all the animals. So the nutrient content that we get in animal meat is nowhere near what it used to be, and it is insufficient for, the nutrient profile that allows the body to use all of it effectively. What you're eating is not what it used to be. You hear that talked about all the time. That means you don't need to supplement with the food you're consuming. You need to replace your entire food supply because it's insufficient and it's causing health issues. It's flipping that. Now, you can look at Relive Greens, you can look at Give Me Back My Youth. The simple aspect is clean slate, because everything, it's amazing what we're seeing here in the United States with different conversations that are going on with different interviews and such, that everybody is putting a focus on health now, regardless. And it's not vaccines, right? It's not about vaccines, right? Great. Vaccines, problem solved, right? There's more coming. And if you're completely against vaccines, you're taking the wrong approach. When I was a kid, we got 3. Now kids get 48. That's way out of proportion. We're never going to take the position that we're anti anything, right? Because there's always some point of balance. The problem is we are so polluted from the jump, from the time you are conceived, when sperm and egg come together and create that little zygote that becomes a human, we're poisoned because your mom poisons you. These are the key points. This isn't about, this has been going on for the last 4 years, and there's this campaign that's going on to poison people in the last 4 years. No, that's not the case. This has been going on since 1930. So if you want to take the correct approach, you can tell people, no, this is not of the last 4 years. And yes, we have a nanobiotechnologist that understood what was coming, and we have the data that shows we reverse all of it. That's true. But that's not the argument. That's not the conversation. And you're going to get into a very small rabbit hole with a few people, then a lot of them are kind of crazy right now. The key is understanding that every aspect of our lifestyle has become completely polluted. And you have to address that. Your building is on fire. The condo complex that makes you this very complex building, right? That is not just one room. It's many different rooms and they're all working together. There are fires going on in different parts of your building. If you don't, 1, put the fire out, and 2, address what caused the fires, you're going to burn, right? That's inflammation. That's diagnoses of every kind. But I was going over with our team earlier today. Here's the one fun part that you guys can share with your customers and people around you. Because you're hearing more and more about this. In 1970, it was proven that there was one cause of chronic degenerative disease. So in 1970, They knew that there was one primary cause, and what they were looking at was data going back into the 1950s and 1960s. And why this is important, because in 1930, they started putting thimerosal in vaccines. So by 1950 to 1960, they started to see a problem. And the first major metadata analysis done in 1970 showed what the problem was. There is one primary cause of these issues. It's mercury. This is proven. It's not inflammation. It's mercury. And mercury makes everything worse. So what you guys can focus on are the facts. Clean up the mess. Thimerosal is mercury, yes. And they've changed the name because they got rid of thimerosal and they didn't get rid of mercury. It happens.
Hey,
It's
so
a
just
preservative because
building
it
off
kills
the
everything.
top of that, exactly what Clay is talking about. So my son had a birthday party this weekend. We had neighbors, we had friends, we had a bunch of people over. Do you want to know what the number one topic amongst all the parents was? Was that they're not feeling the way that they used to. And every topic turned into, how can I get better? What vitamins are you taking? What supplements are you taking? And most of them, only some of them knew what I do for a living. Most of them had no clue. And so when Clay's talking to you about opportunities in which where you can introduce others, we had a 6-year-old birthday party. And it was literally a bunch of kids running around the house. But all the parents were sitting around. But you know what I was doing while I was mixing cocktails for everyone? You better believe I was putting clean spirits in it.
That's right.
So when you're looking at all of the armor, if you will, that we're trying to provide you, whether it's imagery, assets, with Clayton, it's a lot of information. It's arming you with the knowledge so that you feel confident when you're discussing these matters or discussing the products with others that you're surrounded with. And that's why we've been recapping the Lectin patent as one of, like, I think probably the biggest and most significant patents that Dr. Ram got approved for because of how many areas it touches. I didn't even know what a lectin was. I had no clue. So I'm going to be the first. I was the dumb guy in the room. I was like, what the heck is a lectin? I don't even know. But what came to my mind is when I saw Dr. Fadwa's video, when I read through a brief summary of the Lectin patent, when I really sat in a room and I heard Dr. Ram explain why this patent touches primarily like 90% of the products in which we share, in which we sell, excuse me. That's what makes that so important. And that's really where it clicked for me, because all of these talks where she was talking about how she cleans the ingredients before they're used, how she's pulling all the heavy metals and toxicity out of these ingredients before putting them into, let's just say, relive greens. And so now we're trying to make sure that we're recapping with all of you so that you guys are really putting the rubber and meeting the pavement with actively promoting the products, but using a different mechanism in which how you're talking about them. So I know that Clay has some other things to discuss, but I want to ask questions. I want you guys to raise your hand. Sorry, I want you to ask questions. I want to answer your questions. So I would like for you to raise your hands if you have any. I put the video that Dr. Fadwa posted about lectins. Everyone should go and like that post and use it and restitch it and share it with your community. But please raise your hand if you have any questions about the past couple weeks ambassador calls that we've had, about the past couple weeks that we've really shared these different methods to promote these patents, how others are sharing them, or maybe just to give a little bit of insight. Has anyone met with others from the community, like we are talking about, to create those little pods so that you can share best practices? Raise your hand. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to have a check-in. I guarantee that if most of you or maybe one of you are thinking about something, that 7 other people probably have that same question or have that same thought.
Happens.
It does.
And while you're doing that, I did a quick PubMed search so everybody can click on the link of some of the things you can search for on PubMed to look at what's published. So the link that's there has 2,788 articles that pertain to mercury and chronic degenerative disease. So these are the things that you can talk to people about. Now, who's got questions? You talk too fast when you're dropping the info. What is the explanation again of the increase in lectins in plants? Wendy, why don't you just ask that question directly? So here's the thing with lectin. Our environment, this is why Christina's patent is so dynamic, right? And what's interesting is the Patrick, do you have the interview? Do you have the link for the interview with Christina, myself, and Priscilla? I think it's
Yeah,
in the
I can
chat.
grab it.
Can you pull that and drop that in there? Because Priscilla did an amazing interview with 3 of us, and for the first time, I actually didn't get to talk much. Hold on a second. Hello? Is he?
Clay, you're not unmuted.
I know. Oh, go ahead.
I'm trying to find the Duquesne. Will you? So I'm not. Will you try and find that Priscilla interview? I'm not seeing it here. Oh, I got it.
Okay. Sorry, getting multiple things done. So lectin is something that's natural in plants. It's how plants protect themselves of all kinds, right? So whether it's legumes, whether it's vegetables, fruits, different beans and such, they have a certain amount of lectin because that lectin is what gives plants their protective property from pesticide, from pests, from insects, from other invaders. Now, the problem has been now a proper amount of lectin going back a long time ago is actually healthy for people. The problem has been our environment has become so polluted that it's causing plants to produce more lectin because the environment itself, and as Christina goes over quite often, you know, nuclear radiation is not something that ever leaves the stratosphere. It's circulated. So what happens in one part of the world ends up in other areas of the world. Like in the United States, there's only 3 spots in the United States, 3 small cities that actually are not irradiated by everything that's been done in the United States in Fukushima. That's actually very well proven and scary. But because of this pollution and because of the use of pesticides and because of the use of other chemicals, it's caused these plants to increase the amount of lectin that they produce because the plants are protecting themselves from the chemicals in the environment. That itself makes the plants that we're consuming, all of the things that we know have been good for us for a long time, are now toxic to you. Not because the nutrient content isn't there, even though that's depleted as well, but the protective properties of the plants are poisoning us. This is proven. You're not going to see this published for a while. It's at the forefront of what the Human Genome Project is doing. They now know this. How do we know that? Because Christina is in that group. That's scary. That which you know is good for you can kill you because that which you're consuming is trying to protect itself from the poison environment.
But Clay, so let's go back to how they can use this to market and grow as well. Because I know that's the science is covered in the root use, and there's so many great conversations about that.
So here's the key. Here's the key to this. There's only one greens product. There's only one product in that category that has the ability to remove excess lectin. That's Relive Greens. There's one. So from a promo standpoint, when you're talking to people, it stands apart. It is the only one, and I'm going to work with the crew to have a little new logo made that we'll put on the new production run. Clean Slate is, here's the secret to it. Clean Slate and what we use to make Clean Slate is one of the key pieces in cleaning up the lectin and other components from these plants and toxins in the environment, right? But when you take that patent, you can show people the patent. The claims in the patent are not medical claims. They are already proven, approved, patented claims, right? So I'll use another example as it pertains to Clean Slate. And Christina's first patent, she has the claims approved for stabilizing hydrogen in fuel sources. So while companies are working on creating hydrogen fuel mechanisms, Christina's already created the mechanisms to stabilize the hydrogen fuel. Now, why is that valuable for human consumption? Well, there's people that are buying hydrogen water bottles, right? Well, if you put Clean Slate in that water bottle, it's actually going to bind and stabilize the hydrogen, which will allow you to produce more hydrogen because you can hit that button a couple more times. And because of the carrier mechanism that the cages have, you're going to deliver that hydrogen more effectively. And the reason that hydrogen water is even beneficial is because people have screwed up guts, which we solve quicker, which means the combination of drinking something like that, in addition to using Clean Slate, Zero, and Restore and Relive greens, using those four along with that is going to get you returns that are magnitudes greater than just trying to drink water on its own because it's insufficient for what you're needing. So it takes a little time to understand it, but being able to simplify and say, look, you need greens. Yes. You need greens that are not toxic. You need greens that are not fillers. Check this out. Here's this patent that goes over the claims of it, but this is the only product in the market that actually has this. You do not want to take any other greens because they don't meet the standards of quality, not of anybody else, that you want to put in your body. That's the key. If given the choice, because now people are given the choice, do you want the cleanest, best, most efficacious product or something that's loaded with fillers that you don't know? Those are your two options. Something that's not clean, something that's loaded with lectin. Eating vegan and vegetarian was never healthy, but that's a whole other subject.
Let's bring it back to the community so that because I want to make sure that you guys are raising your hands and asking questions so that we can get through some things.
Let me see, the Revenge of the Plants.
Yes, Birgit.
Well, I was going to say, if nature is hitting back at us now for modifying plants and for, polluting the soil and everything, and Dr. Christina is into cleaning soil and cleaning us, so it's more than necessary that you talk to all the people that thought they have a healthy living lifestyle and tell them you're being vegan or vegetarian like my sister, need this because what you're eating is no longer safe. Meat was polluted a long time ago with everything, that, but now it's the healthy stuff that's being polluted too. So more than ever, we need the root products. And I think because everything is going through the liver, the toxins of the plants, the lectins, correct me if I'm wrong, but liver is our cleansing organ and detoxifying organ. So I think the clean spirit and the xodate would be also beneficial to help the liver get rid of the lectins and other things. And that is a marketing pitch to people. I'm coming back to what we wanted, to get their attention, to make the bell ring in their head when they start to get interested. And before they said, nah, 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 nah. Is that good?
You're muted, Clay.
I'm reading and watching and listening. Someone please. You want to hit on that, Patrick, first?
I think that yes. What separates us though, and what we're doing is our emphasis is all about the eradication of environmental pollutants, whether that's in your body, whether that's in the environment, in the pets, in us, in the food. And so when you look at some of our competitors in a means of what it is that they're doing, and I say this in the office a lot, I think I've said it on some calls. We're not a marketing company that just so happens to sell greens. And I know Clay's going to cringe when I say this, but we're a wellness health company, a lifestyle brand that sells products that helps you optimize your wellness and your health to live your best life. And so when you're looking at the large amount of products and how many supplements and vitamins, and you can go when Dr. Joe Dispenza has some, there's On It, there's AG1. Nobody has what we have, which is a bioscience engineer that also has patent pending and patent approved products, in which where we're getting down to the base foundation of cleaning everything before we even make the product.
The key is knowing that if you're taking anything else, you can stop that. Because as Patrick was hitting on, we were just in Los Angeles for the pre-Emmys event and meeting a bunch of people there. And the aspect of a lifestyle brand is exactly that point. Everything that we have is designed to fit your lifestyle, right? So you can listen, you have to listen to people and find out where to meet them. First, you have to have the conviction and understanding that you have the tools available. Hopefully,
Yes.
you've taken the time to have the conviction. It comes from one of two things. One, personal use, but then two, a level of understanding and acceptance. That can come from testimonials. It can come from participating on these calls. It can be on science calls, whatever it takes to give you a level of comfort in understanding that what you're using and what you're sharing is of value to the people around you. That's step one. Step two then is in talking with your friends and listening to people to find out where you can make the best introduction initially. Some people, you might talk big picture. Most people, you're going to hit on one thing. You're going to find their pain point if we want to talk general sales, right? You find that one part. It could be, I'll give you an example. I have a gentleman I spoke to last week that runs the super PAC for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He owns the printing company that prints all of the books for everybody that's writing about what's going on the last 4 years. The truth about Anthony Fauci that Robert F. Kennedy did. He owns the printing company that did that. He also runs the Children's Health Defense for the whole organization. And so they need to raise more money and they want solutions. He happens to have an autistic child. So while we talked about big picture, my primary focus was taking care of his kid and what we can do for proven clinical data already of showing how we assist in the recovery of having some of those key damage points, right? Extreme sphere of influence, one primary issue that really matters to him. So that's the key, is when you're talking to people, you should have a pretty good idea how different products can hit in multiple areas and what would be important. I mean, you can keep it really simple if you want to. You can use Clean Slate, Relive Greens, Zero In, Sculpt and Crush. You use those as a basis, you're going to hit on everybody at some point. right? Sculpt in the United States is an absolute home run and no one's played with it yet. The Europeans, you guys don't have insulin resistance issues as much and don't have diabetes at the rates that the United States has because you guys have better food and you're smarter than Americans. But everybody in the United States, and really everybody globally, needs Sculpt. It will help you perform better, lean out, block sugar, improve insulin management, and improve metabolic function. I live on Sculpt and Crush and everything else, but those two are crucial for what they can do. I mean, you guys have probably seen some of my pictures. I haven't weighed myself because I don't work out, but I leaned out significantly when Sculpt and Crush hit, and I did some coffee. So
But say how long it took, Clay, because I think that's what everyone needs to understand, because it took a good minute.
about 3 months. It took 3 months, and this is something that Christina's gone over and Fado has gone over, and she's a PharmD. Your desire for immediate results. Now, in how your body has to adapt to regulating insulin and improving metabolic function, it doesn't flip. It's not a quick, you can't quickly change that, right? Because your body has to start getting rid of sugar. It's going to start burning things off. Your insulin levels are going to be adapted. And this takes about 60, 90 days, right? And then as your body acclimates, and you hear Christina talk about this all the time, that your blood has to get balanced with what you're using, peak plasma, steady state, some of the scientific methods. But basically, your body has to adapt to what you're doing because it's never had these tools before. But when it does, it's going to hit like a ton of bricks. I think from what my wife is telling me and what people are telling me, I dropped 20 pounds in like 2 weeks. And it just came off. And I'm not kidding when I say this. I don't work out. I don't. So it wasn't that I changed my diet. It wasn't that I changed my lifestyle. Now, granted, I eat less than I've ever eaten now for 2 reasons. 1, I don't need it. 2, I don't desire it. That's huge. And what's coming here pretty quick, we're just waiting for everything to get in because I got my panel back. My genetics show me that I can eat a lot. I actually can go goldfish because my satiety gene is basically inactive. I know this about me. But Sculpt, because of the epigenetic component, right? The ability to turn genes on and off and dictate them through, you can say, nutrition. Christina knows how to program the body. That's what each of these products is doing with their own aspects. So if you want the simple way of selling this, of why there's so many products, I want you to take your device that you have, because I think we all have one of these of different kinds, and just swipe through. Oops, not that way. How many apps do you have on your phone? How many programs do you use on your computer? There's more than one program that you use on your phone to do what you do. You have banking apps, you have social media apps, you have communication apps, you have a calculator, you have a light, you have a camera, you have all of these different components, and they make up that ecosystem. And you know what's really unique about this little device? Do you know what it runs on? Silica. This computer programming system, this operating system is more complex than this is. It too runs on silica. And you know what kind of silica it needs to run on? Bioavailable silica, also known as orthosilicic acid, but you don't have to worry about that part. What is the best source of bioavailable silica? It happens to be the cleanest sources of clinoptilolite. Where do you get that? That's what clean slate is. Clean slate is the foundation for making all of this work, but it's not the only thing. That's like hitting delete on Control-Alt-Delete. You have to have the other components, but it is foundational because it's going to allow your operating system to work better.
But what if I'm talking to somebody, Clay, and they're like, you know what? I'm good. I already take my products. I already have a greens. It's been working great for me. I get it at the Whole Foods.
I
To you
ask
just said,
people one simple question.
Clean slate makes everything work better.
Yeah, it's like BASF, but when I'm talking to people, and I'm probably a little bit more animated and a little bit more passionate than the rest of this community because my level of conviction is a little bit greater because I've been doing this for 20 years and I've studied integrative health and nutrition for 45. I have a little bit different foundation than most, and I'm passionate about this. If someone says I'm using these things, great. How are you doing? Do you want to do better? Because we're not made for mediocrity. I was having this argument with, I think it was with Kreider over the weekend or with someone else. When we look at athletes, Kreider was listening as I was talking to somebody. Here's the thing with athletes. And you can all look at this because we are all competitive in the game of life, right? Life is a challenge. Life is a battle. That's how we become forged and how we become stronger. But we are not made to be victims of our environment. We are created in the images of greatness, right? So anybody that wants to challenge us on where we've been and who we've met with and why we're there, it's because we are in the pursuit of greatness and we want to take as many people with us as possible. So whatever we have to do to get in front of people, to have influence, we're probably going to take that approach because we're incorruptible. That's actually true. So you have to understand that wherever you are, whatever you're doing currently, whatever products you've been using, whatever you've been prescribed, whatever you've been taking for a long time, great. That's your foundation. You can be the best basketball player in the world right now. That's where you start. There's a level of performance that's within us that we've not been able to tap into yet. If we look at basketball in the United States, Steph Curry is one of the most dynamic players in basketball. Steph Curry can get a lot better. If you look at footballers, right, you can say Cristiano Ronaldo is one of the best in the world. He's aging in a little bit. There's a massive amount of room for improvement in his game because we're all burdened by what's in us. Some of us perform better than others, but there's still massive room for potential gains because we're all in the same book. What Christina's created is not available anywhere else. It's not. I can tell you that. I've lived it, right? I take everything she's made. I'm becoming more diligent about adding some of the other things that I don't do good at. You cannot get what we have anywhere else. They don't exist. So if someone says like, Patrick, oh, I've got this, I'm using it. Great. Here's what I do. Here, take 2 of these pills. Call me in 20 minutes. You know, I've not had anyone tell me that Zero In is not the greatest nootropic or greatest product they've ever taken. One of my wingman that introduced Christina and I is an NBA legend, right? He knows everybody. And when we sat down a couple weeks ago to reconnect, I gave him 2 Zero In and said, here, try these. He called me back a couple hours later. It's like, dude, this is the craziest stuff I've ever taken. I've tried everything. This is insane, right? What did that take? Well, it cost me $3.20, $1.60 a pill to put those in his hands. And he's like, I'm going to talk about this. I've got friends. I'm like, I know you have friends. So it's a matter of making the investment in your time, in yourself, but then sometimes making an investment in other people. And it doesn't cost a lot because you can get them hooked real quick. So here, try a couple of these. And then they're like, well, I want more of those. Great. Let me send you a link. I'm going to send it to you right on your phone and you can order it. Now, if you're smart, you might have a file already created that if you know you're going to talk about zero in, you might have gone in your back office and made a hyperlink specific to ordering zero in, that it's already in the cart. And then you can copy that and send it to them. So you don't have to worry about them shopping on the website or anything. You just say, you want this stuff? Here, I'm going to send you a link. You can buy it right now. You bypass all of the chaos and it's just right there on their shopping cart. These are the things that you guys are, responsible for helping yourselves become successful, right? Because you literally have the tools to be as creative as you want financially with how this ecosystem is constructed. I'm going to be going over a lot of this in Germany. I'm going to teach you guys, whoever's in attendance, how to build this the way I intended it to be built. I've not done this before. I'm actually afraid to do it publicly because then people are going to complain. But I'm going to show you guys how you can make a ton of money and not have to recruit anybody, because you shouldn't be doing that anyway, because the goal is just customers, right? It's helping people. And as you help people, they will begin to have the outcomes that you've had. When that happens, you just teach them something really simple. Just share, nothing else. If you do that, and this is how every other business is developed, right? You want to start a retail company, you're not going to go out and recruit people to start building a business just like you did, right? If you're selling hamburgers, you're not going to go tell all your friends to open another hamburger joint. You're going to tell them to come visit you. And then if they like the burgers you make, they will tell their friends to come to you too. Just
So
going
with
to
the
show.
timing being close to an hour, I don't want to cut you off, Clay, but I want to keep this and
Yep, we got
for
4
hour.
minutes.
I want to get to your question because you've had your hand raised for quite some time. So please go ahead and shoot.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Were you asking me? I'm sorry, Patrick.
You had your hand raised and you were so
Here,
diligent.
sorry. My question, I put it in the chat just in case we didn't get it. On Dr. Fadwa's Instagram post that you shared with us and I've seen as well, is that something we can share on our own? I mean, do we need to get permission from her? How does this work?
No,
sure.
here's something that's really important for everybody to understand when it comes to social media, right? And I'm terrible at this. If it's posted on social media, like, rip it.
Stitch it.
Copy it.
You can do a stitch
Copy it,
with it and
stitch
you
it.
can copy it. You can talk about it. You can pause her video while you talk about yours. You can do anything that you want. And I'm sure she would love that.
I just didn't want to offend, or I don't know the word I'm looking for, but I just wanted to get permission. Is that something that
The permission is granted by it being on social media, right?
Go.
This is something that's really, really important to understand. If someone's put it on social media, they don't own it, right? It's privately held at that point, but it's also in public domain. So anything that you see on YouTube, anything on TikTok, anything on Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, WhatsApp, all of that any content that you're getting, if it's a video, this is one thing that I'm working on internally because of people that are producing content and talking about stuff, of taking that, cutting up videos and adding some stuff to it, or talking about this is what they actually mean. And if you guys know who Andrew Tate is, or if you've heard of him, this is what he did. He would create content and then he would have, 300 or 500 people start reposting it or tweak it. And this is one of the reasons that I'm paying for NowSite for everyone. I want you guys to be able to get these tools and begin to use them, because as you become accustomed to using some of these tools, you can actually use those tools to take content and actually repurpose it, edit it, tweak it, right? And if you don't understand how to do this, YouTube it or TikTok it, because the educational material on how to do this is all available to you. And you don't have to ask permission. I know Fadawa puts stuff out there because she wants people to do it. She wants to educate people. Just like our business model, she's going to have more influence and will be able to help more people, not from people coming to her, but from people taking that content and sharing it.
Okay.
The same mechanisms.
I understood a lot from her post more. She put it to where I could understand it, some of this is so overwhelmingly advanced, and it's like I'm just trying to absorb it all, but I understood from what she was sharing on that post, and it's just like I really want to share it, but I don't want to get in trouble for sharing it. So that's why I wanted to pose that question. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, if
And
it's
to go just real quick, Clay, the line it really gets across when you try to act like the person who said that. So like if you claim like these were my words, that's where it crosses the line. Or if you take what she said and try to like make a claim out of it. But if you just share it in a way of saying, I heard this great talk by one of my, favorite speakers, Dr. Fadwa, and you just share it and like say, hey, if you want to learn more, reach out to me. That's always perfect. So the only two come when you try to claim it's you and it's not you. So if you like made a fake social media account and we're acting like those were your videos, which is a lot of work, and I know no one does that. The second one, which is more common, is when people take a video and try to claim that in this video, this is said. And so that's where the strength really comes with, like you just said, Jennifer, like letting the video speak for itself, because Dr. Fadwa summarizes stuff up so well in that. And so by sharing it, it's almost just like sharing a YouTube video, like sharing your favorite sport highlight that you saw from your favorite, NFL player, and you're just sharing that so other people see it. And so as long as you don't do either of those two things, and it doesn't sound like you were ever going to do that anyways, you're really fine to go with it and kind of use that way of promotion as much as you want.
Thank you all so much. That truly helps, because I've been going back and forth, and it's like I want to share, but am I going to get in trouble? So thank you very much.
Kind of scary. There's no like rule book out there, which is where it's it is a little different. But yeah, thank you for asking that, because I'm sure a lot of other people had that question. So that's where I'm glad someone asked it so we can explain it for everybody.
I really appreciate it, and I'm sure. Thank you. I'm just going to leave it at that. So thank you very much.
Just
So I'm going to be the stickler. We're at our time.
I'm going to hit on one last thing before we wrap this up, just so you guys have this key part of what Jen was just going over. Our website, the Root website, has a domain rating that is higher than most websites out there because of how the community developed this. There's a lot of people searching for Root products, but also for terms. On top of what you're doing on social media, I would strongly encourage you all to figure out how you can do different internet marketing. NowSite, the rootbrands.ai, is built to help you do that if you upgrade. So you have to get used to some of the tools, and then you can add more tools. But the more you do to put your link or your story in front of people where they're going to search, the more successful you're going to be. And that is what we have for now. Yes. If you're in Germany, we might see you in a couple days.
Okay.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining. We appreciate it. I know that there was a lot of things that we covered on this call. We'll clip this up and put it on YouTube. If you're interested in some of the other talks or ambassador calls, They're all on YouTube under ambassador training. You can go ahead and check those out. We look forward to seeing you in Germany, in Dallas, in Kosovo, maybe Dubai. There's a lot of things coming. We are really excited. If you haven't had time, ask your the person who referred you. I shared in the silver and the platinum channels the Dropbox file for all of the assets for peptides, so we can start getting the word out about those. I know that Dr. Ram just pushed a video out about the peptide. We're getting that translated as well. So we really want to blow this up and make it a great launch. So we'll see you guys. Thanks.